thank all the senators on the committee for their attendance. Out of respect for the schedules of each of our committee members, as soon as we have a reporting quorum present, I'll ask the committee to begin voting. The bills that we'll take up today are S. 1860, the Bryan Head Town Land Conveyance Act, S. 858, the Herschel Woody Williams National Medal of Honor Monument Location Act, S. 1363, the New Mexico Land Grant Mercedes Historical Traditional Use Cooperation and Coordination Act, S. 1377, the Theodore Roosevelt National Park Wild Horses Protection Act, S. 1470, the Continental Divide National Scenic Trail Act, S. 1787, Dolores River National Conservation Area and Special Management Area Act, S. 2015, the National Prescribed Fire Act of 2025, S. 2016, the Chugach, Alaska Land Exchange Oil Spill Recovery Act of 2025, S. 2033, the Cross Boundary Wildfire Solutions Act, S. 2262, the American Voices in Federal Lands Act, S. 2273, the Wyoming Education Trust Modernization Act, and S. 2546, which extends the authority for the National Emergency Medical Services Memorial Foundation to establish a commemorative work. No quorum present yet. Okay. All right, we don't filibuster. Yeah, I'll filibuster for a moment. Today, the committee meets to consider a series of targeted and very community-driven measures. These are narrow, these are practical, they address real needs in real places. I want to spend a moment on one bill on today's agenda, the Bryan Head Land Conveyance Act. Bryan Head is a mostly sleepy ski town in southern Utah. Its permanent population is modest, only about 151 residents as of the 2020 census. But while its population may be modest, its responsibilities are not. During the winter season alone, Bryan Head sees more than 300,000 visitors who come to ski and recreate. So a town of 151 people ends up hosting 300,000 people during a relatively short ski season. That kind of seasonal surge puts enormous strain on local infrastructure, especially public safety. Now, right now, the town operates its public works facility on Forest Service land under a special use permit. The permit does not allow for expansion. As a result, essential equipment is stored outdoors. Snow removal vehicles, public safety equipment, and the town, these are all assets that the town happens to depend on to keep its residents safe and its visitors coming and safe while they're there. Exposure has accelerated wear and tear. This has created some safety risks, and it has limited the town's ability to prepare for winter conditions. This bill would fix that. It would convey a 24-acre parcel adjacent to the town boundary, enabling Bryan Head to expand and modernize its public works facility. Nothing more, nothing less. It's important to be clear about what this land is. It's Forest Service land, but it's land that the Forest Service itself has acknowledged does not have forestry characteristics. At a recent hearing, our witness from the Forest Service explicitly stated that there are safety concerns facing the town, and the Forest Service supports the bill. It's targeted. It's a targeted solution to a well-documented, undisputed problem. A problem that the Forest Service agrees exists, and a solution that the Forest Service supports. The goal here is simple: just give the town the ability to safely store its own equipment. Improve winter preparedness, protect residents, protect visitors, and support a growing recreation economy on which the region depends. That's what the bill does. Now, I want to step back a moment, say a word about the process. Should we stop and vote now while we've got the quorum? Yeah. If the ranking member is good with it, I may interrupt my remarks, push pause, and go ahead and vote while we have a reporting quorum present. Thank you. Our first items of business will be amendments to improve 7 bills on the agenda that have been worked on with members and staff, and I want to thank Ranking Member Heinrich for his work on this. What's that? Oh, can't do the roll call votes, yeah. So which, which ones? Yeah.
You can do the voice.
Which ones are those? Let's see.
Right there.
Yeah.
Go back up. There we have amendments that were distributed.
Yeah. This one?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can't do the roll call yet because we're still one short apparently, but we can do the voice votes. We have amendments that have been distributed for S 858, S 1363, S 2015, S 2016, S 2033, and S 2262 to improve the bills. These are amendments 2, 11, 12, 7, 4, 5, and 6. We'll vote on these amendments to the bills in block. For all 7 of these amendments as a block, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The amendments are agreed to. Okay. All right. Having done that, I'm going to go back and finish my opening statement while we await the arrival of a couple of absent members. All right. So I'm glad the committee is coming together today. Members on both sides of the aisle have worked in good faith to advance their bills that matter to their communities. That cooperation shouldn't end here. The bills should move. They should go to the floor. They should be passed, and then they should be signed into law. Over the past year, we've had productive hearings and markups and are moving bills out of the committee. Some have already passed the Senate unanimously just a year ago, and they have stalled, not because of substance, but because of an objection to, not because of substance and not because there is a substantive objection to what the bills accomplish, but rather some are being held hostage to create leverage for other larger packages. The American people deserve legislation that's understandable and publicly debated on its own merits. Committees shouldn't be forced to try to support provisions that they oppose just to get a needed local fix across the finish line. And so anytime we have these non-controversial bills, it's important to move those through, get them passed on the floor as soon as possible. As chairman, I remain ready to work with any member of the committee, Republican or Democrat, to move their bills individually or in bipartisan pairs to the floor so they can be voted on, so they can become law. That approach respects the committee's work and respects each individual member, respects the Senate as an institution and the people we represent. Today's agenda reflects what this committee does best, solving specific problems in specific places with care and deliberation. And I'd like to invite each of you to work with me and my staff to advance the bills, and I look forward to getting each of those bills across the finish line. Thank you, Member Heinrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm very pleased to see us considering 12 bills today. I hope that we can build on this in the future, and I want to point out that our agenda today includes the Continental Divide Completion Act, a bill I introduced along with Senator Daines. The Continental Divide Trail stretches from the Mexican border to the Canadian border, crossing more than 3,000 miles of some of the most rugged terrain in the U.S. And while Senator Daines and I disagree on which portions of the trail are more scenic, and we agree on getting this across the finish line. The trail it's part of the Triple Crown of hiking and brings visitors from around the world to climb the spine of the North American continent. And from the mountain towns, for the mountain towns along the way, the trail really means economic development, it means good jobs, and it means money in their pockets. But the Continental Divide Trail is not just for thru hikers. For many New Mexicans, the CDT is their local trail, the trail where they walk their dog or spend time with their families. And the problem has been that there are still many gaps in the trail where hikers have to literally hike on roads, even highway shoulders, to connect from one segment to the next. The Continental Divide Completion Act, which we will consider today, would direct the land management agencies to work with trail users and local communities to fill in the gaps and complete this trail. I want to thank Senator Daines for partnering with me on this legislation. And while there are too many bills on today's agenda to mention all of them, I do want to quickly highlight 3 others. S 1363 would improve coordination between New Mexico land grants and the public land agencies on traditional uses of public land. S 1787 would protect the Dolores River in Colorado by establishing a national conservation area and special management area on the public land along this river. And lastly, S 2273 would allow the state of Wyoming greater flexibility in how they manage state revenues derived from state lands. New Mexico recently needed congressional action to change how we use state land revenues, so I know how important it is that this committee address these state trust land issues quickly as they arise. And I'll hold the rest of my comments on other bills until we reach them on the agenda and yield back my time.
Thanks so much. Okay, now we're going to move to a series of roll call votes on 2 bills. I want to thank Ranking Member Heinrich for his work to come to an agreement to vote on 10 of the bills by voice. At his request, we'll begin holding a roll call vote on 2 bills. I invite the sponsors of these bills to speak to them and ask that they keep those remarks short, as several of our colleagues are juggling their duties with other committees this morning, and we've got one who's got to leave soon to go preside on the Senate floor. I support each of these bills, and I encourage colleagues to vote in favor of them. First, we have agenda item number 10, S 2016. Oh. But we could have the member speak briefly on that.
We could have the members.
Yeah. S 2016 has amended the Chugach Land Exchange Oil Spill Recovery Act of 2025 by Senator Murkowski. And the chair recognizes Senator Murkowski on this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for including this bill on the agenda today. I am glad that we are at this point. We've been working on this for some time. I am disappointed the committee is not going to be able to reach bipartisan agreement on this. I will note that over in the House, where things are a little bit contentious right now, they not only received bipartisan agreement on this same bill, but did so unanimously. There is no question, Mr. Chairman, and to the ranking member, this land exchange is in the public interest. For those who have forgotten a little bit of history, 35 years ago, we saw the largest oil spill in the country. The Exxon Valdez discharged approximately 11 million gallons of crude oil into Prince William Sound. And we know the impact there, but the people in that area are still dealing with the impact some 35 years later. Long story short, those were their lands in there. Those were their lands subject to the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. And since that time, they have been trying to deal with the balance of conservation lands on the surface estate, while the ANC has the subsurface estate. It is a classic example of a split estate. Effectively, the Chugach people can't do much of anything on their lands without federal approval. It's not what the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act promised in terms of their sovereignty, in terms of their ability to be able to advance their economic and conservation interests. The federal government has taken much of the value out of native lands in south central Alaska. And that's the problem here. So if you're trying to say we have to somehow get equal value, the fact of the matter is it wouldn't happen, it couldn't happen, and I think that will be the point of any amendment that would ask for this. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm willing to spend a lot of time talking about the history and why this land exchange is so important, why resolving this split estate is so important. I recognize that we are limited on time, so I'm happy to field questions, but I would also note that my colleague to the left has rounded out our quorum, so
Great.
happy to defer.
Thank you. And in light of that, if it's okay, I'd like to go ahead and take these two roll call votes,
Okay.
then finish the voice vote, and then I'll recognize anybody who wants to speak afterwards, if
Very
that's
good.
right. Committee will now vote on S 2016 as amended. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Risch. Mr. Daines. Mr. Cotton. Mr. McCormick. Mr. Justice. Mr. Cassidy. Ms. Hyde-Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Murkowski.
Aye.
Mr. Hoven. Mr. Heinrich. Mr. Wyden. Ms. Cantwell. Ms. Hirono.
No by proxy.
Mr. King.
Yes by proxy.
Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Hickenlooper.
No by proxy.
Mr. Padilla. Mr. Gallego.
No by proxy.
On this vote, the ayes are 13 and the nays are 7.
Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, the bill is 2016.
2016.
Okay.
Yep, yep. Next, the committee will consider agenda item number 12, S 2262, the American Voices in Federal Lands Act as amended. The chair recognizes Senator Barrasso to speak to the bill. He has agreed to delay his remarks until afterwards. The clerk will call the roll.
I move approval of S 2262.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we proceed to this. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Lee. Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Risch. Mr. Daines. Mr. Cotton. Mr. McCormick. Mr. Justice. Mr. Cassidy. Ms. Hyde-Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Murkowski.
Aye.
Mr. Hoven. Mr. Heinrich. Mr. Wyden. Ms. Cantwell. Ms. Hirono. Mr. King. Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Hickenlooper. Mr. Padilla. Mr. Gallego. On this vote, the ayes are 11 and the nays are 9.
This bill and the other one will be reported favorably to the Senate. Let's see. Yep. Let's now move to the voice vote on the remaining agenda items, which the ranking member and I have both agreed can be handled by voice vote. All those in favor of these, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt both of those by voice.
And could you read the numbers in the record?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been moved and seconded that we now proceed to a vote on 10 bills by voice. They are agenda items number 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, and 14. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. 10 bills will be reported favorably to the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, I ask to be recorded as a no on agenda item number 5.
Senator Heinrich will be recorded as a no on agenda item number 5. Any other members want to be recorded as a no on any of these members? Okay, with that, next at bat will be Senator Barrasso, who will now speak to his bill. And we thank those who have come to form a quorum. And Senator Barrasso, you recognize.
Well, thanks so much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the positive vote on S 2262. I want to thank you and Ranking Member for holding this important markup. This bill is called the American Voices in Federal Lands Act. I think it's an important bill. I believe it gives necessary guardrails for our land management agencies. You know, I've been concerned about this lack of information on who was leaving comments, public comments on the Bureau of Land Management. This happened at a hearing we had in the past. We had somebody from the BLM testifying, and you may remember during that testimony, it had to do with public lands in Wyoming, and so many negative comments were coming in, and all the locals were saying one thing and basically asked, who are the people that are making comments? Do we actually have a record of who's coming in comments? I raised concerns, you know, was Communist China allowed to leave comments impacting how we use and manage our natural resources? And I wasn't able to get a response that said, oh yeah, no, we're checking in to see who was coming in with the information. We asked, you know, could AI be leaving them? Could bots be leaving them? And there was no record. They said, well, we had all these comments against it. And it was peculiar to the people of Wyoming when you saw the number of comments coming in And at the same time, we hear reports of, Communist China wanting to buy farmland, ranch land across the West. And it was just enough of an issue that I wanted to put together this piece of legislation to make sure that we know where comments are coming. We want every U.S. citizen or groups and organizations representing those citizens to have an opportunity to have their voice heard. And that's important. But I don't want to hear that AI or bots or foreign adversaries are the ones who are impacting our decisions, and these are important policies related to public land. So I thank you, Mr. Chairman, for bringing this to a vote today, and thank my colleagues for adopting it.
Thank you, Senator Pressa. Senator Heinrich.
Thank you, Chairman, and I want to thank the sponsor for his work on this. This bill has been described as an effort to prevent artificial intelligence and bots from submitting comments to Bureau of Land Management public comment processes. I think that's something we can all support as a goal. I do have some issues with the sort of the mechanics of this bill. It's going to require American citizens to prove that they're citizens before their comments will be considered by the BLM, and that's a little more complicated than it seems on the surface. The original bill text would have excluded comments from state and local governments because while governments are persons under federal law, they are not quote-unquote citizens. The amendment that was just adopted fixed that for most corporations, but it still excludes tribal corporations incorporated under tribal law. So if a tribal corporation wants to comment on a proposed BLM action, it can't, even though non-tribal corporations can. So this just points to some fundamental mechanics with this legislation as it currently stands. But I look forward to continuing to work with the sponsor. I think we can all agree we don't want AI commenting on BLM plans. We don't want bots spamming public comments, but we've got to get the details right.
Okay, we've got Senator Padilla on the Democratic side wants to speak. Senator Hoeven, we're going to be alternating between Republican and Democrats. We'll go to Senator Hoeven and then Senator Padilla, if that's all right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank the members of the committee for supporting Senate Bill 1377. The horses at the Theodore Roosevelt National Park are an essential aspect of the park's experience, capturing the imagination of visitors and helping maintain the historic scene from Teddy Roosevelt's time in North Dakota. Yet there have been multiple attempts, including as recently as 2022, to remove the horses from the park. Every attempt has been made with overwhelming opposition from the public. There's just tremendous support from the public for the wild horses in the park. So we've worked to craft a balanced, durable solution that provides permanent protection for the horses in the park. Under our bill, the National Park Service is required to maintain not fewer than 150 horses at the park, aligned with the population levels needed to maintain a healthy and genetically diverse herd. Again, I appreciate the support by the committee of this legislation, which reflects the broad support among those who value the heritage of the park and the herd's ties to the legacy of Theodore Roosevelt. So again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to our ranking member.
Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to begin by actually thanking you for organizing this business meeting to move some important bills out of committee in the support of Ranking Member Heinrich, of course. I also want to thank Senator Wyden for his leadership on the National Prescribed Fire Act, of which I'm a co-sponsor. Prescribed fires are key to effectively address wildfires and to proven wildfire mitigation tool that's important to have in our arsenal. It not only addresses hazardous fuel loads, but can increase the ecological health and resiliency of landscapes when implemented properly and strategically. And this bill is certainly a generational step forward. And I'm pleased to see this committee take this issue up. I also appreciate that 2 of my bills were included on the agenda, but have to be honest that I'm disappointed they did not make it on the short list to actually receive a vote. So let me speak to those bills. My first bill, the Ackerson Meadow Land Exchange Act, would provide a simple land exchange between the National Park Service in Yosemite National Park and the U.S. Forest Service in Stanislaus National Forest. Both federal agencies have asked for this exchange to create more seamless boundaries, and it's supported by ranchers who have Forest Service grazing allotments impacted by the current boundaries. The second of my bills would establish an interest-bearing account for non-federal contributions to the highly successful Lower Colorado River Multi-Species Conservation Program. The value of this program has eroded over time due to inflation, which results in higher costs to implement projects. Creating an interest-bearing account will enhance program success and actually save the government money by reducing the amount needed in future federal appropriations. Now, both of these bills passed out of this committee last Congress by voice vote, without any opposition. And as I understood it, this met the chairman's criteria to be eligible for a markup. So with that said, look forward to seeing these two bills on the short list for a vote in the next markup. And lastly, I want to speak on an amendment that I filed to S-858, the Herschel Woody Williams National Medal of Honor Monument Location Act. The Commemorative Work Act restricts new museums and memorials from being built on the National Mall without an act from Congress. And throughout my time in the Senate, there's two important museums on the National Mall, the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Latino and the Smithsonian American Women's History Museum that we've been advocating for. In fact, Senator Cruz and I have a bipartisan bill to do just that for the Latino Museum. And Senator Klobuchar and Senator Lummis have a bipartisan bill to do that for the Women's Museum, to formally take the step to allow for these museums to be built on the National Mall, just as we have approved for the National Medal of Honor Monument on the National Mall. Both of these bills enjoy support from several members of this committee. They are bipartisan. So I wholeheartedly agree that the sacrifices made by Medal of Honor recipients should have a place of recognition for all Americans to see in our nation's capital. But I also believe that the story of the American Latino and the simultaneous fight for equality by American women should equally be enshrined on the National Mall. My amendment would add language to S-858 to allow the Latino and women's museums to be built on the mall. Obviously did not take it up before passage of the measure, but wanted to go on the record. As a ranking member on the Rules Committee, I know well that our bills to build Smithsonian museums on the National Mall fall within the Rules Committee jurisdiction. And so it's for that reason that I did not offer the amendment for a vote today. However, as the National Medal of Honor Monument Bill moves to the floor, I think it also serves as a reminder about the importance that comes with showcasing our rich American history on the National Mall, and look forward to continuing to work with you and every member of this committee to make that a reality for the Latino and women's museums. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks so much, Senator Padilla. We're happy to work with you to get those teed up, to work with you and Senator Heinrich, get those teed up for markup votes, and also working to get bills on the floor teed up for floor action. So thank you. I want to make a brief comment on S-2015, the National Prescribed Fire Act by Senator Wyden. I was happy to support the bill today, moving out of committee. Before it advances to the Senate floor, I've made clear to Senator Wyden and his team we'll need an appropriate budgetary offset. I look forward to working with Senator Wyden on that, and I'm sure we can get that done. Yeah, it's a good thing he happens to be on finance. So, Senator Wyden.
I thank my colleague, and I'm looking at Senator Murkowski. We remember the challenge of doing work in a bipartisan way in this committee. It is not for the faint-hearted, and I want to commend you, Mr. Chairman, and Senator Heinrich for bringing us together. The prescribed fire tool is particularly important because it's underused now, and it's an incredible opportunity to do the preventive work that we know is so important. You know, all through the West, it gets hot and dry. I'm not going to give a speech about why. The reality is we all agree it's hot and dry. You have a lightning strike in our part of the world. You have a fire. All of a sudden, you got an inferno on your hands. And all over my state, people are hungry, and they don't see this as a blue issue or a red issue. They just want to get out there and do the work. And you, Senator Lee, and Senator Heinrich are giving us a chance to do this. So I think this is really the wave of the future. And you look back, I see my friend from Alaska, when we dealt with fire borrowing, we dealt with secure rural schools, we dealt with a whole host of measures that we just thought were useful tools. I think prescribed fire is going to be enormously important. And just a 10-second anecdote from home, we have a business summit in Oregon every fall, and people asked about what was going to be talked about. And when I mentioned just in opening the discussion that I was going to talk about prescribed fire, that was the biggest applause of the day from every nook and cranny of the state, because they said those guys on the Energy and Natural Resources Committee are really up to some good stuff. So I thank Senator Heinrich and Senator Lee, and we work on a lot of issues. I think this is going to be one that's going to make a big difference, and I want my colleague to know we'll work very closely on the challenge of finding the dollars.
Great. Look forward to working with you on that, and love also working with you on secure rural schools. I'm told that the House has now passed it, so it's on its way. Another Christmas miracle.
Thank you. Thank you.
Senator Heinrich.
Thank you, Chairman. And first, I just want to recognize Senator Murkowski for her good faith work on S 2016, the Chugach Land Exchange Oil Spill Recovery Act, and for her continued commitment to address the unique and complex land issues in Alaska. I do still have several concerns with this legislation. We only had 5 business days to work through that, which just wasn't enough. This bill directs a land exchange of 231,000 acres of the Chugach Alaska Corporation subsurface estate for about 65,000 acres of public land. I understand the Department of Interior report identified roughly 26,000 acres of land potentially available for an exchange. However, the bill proposes to exchange 65,000 acres of public land, roughly 40,000 acres more than what the department identified. And that means we are still missing analysis on some of these additional lands. And I don't believe we have a map to be able to understand precisely where those come from just yet. So with no analysis, we don't know the value of the public land that would ultimately be privatized. And this bill departs from some of the principles that have long guided these exchanges, including equal value provisions and public interest determinations. So I prepared an amendment on this today. I'm not going to offer that amendment. Instead, I hope with more time I can continue to work with Senator Murkowski as this bill advances to the floor.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Murkowski.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I thank the committee again for helping to advance S 2016 and the cooperation that we've received on this. Senator Heinrich, I'll take you on your word as we advance to the floor with this measure. You mentioned not having maps. I'm told that we've included the legal descriptions within the text, but the reason that there's no maps is that the parcels are so small, it's hard to identify. So again, working through some of these specific issues, I think, is going to be important as we move forward. What I'm trying to do, as with so many of these very local parochial matters that relate back to the Alaska Native Land Claim settlement, even though that settlement was some 50 years ago, there are still issues that remain to be addressed, still inequities that remain to be addressed. This matter, as it relates to Chugach, is one of those inequities. Our landless bill is another one. I'm very thankful that just last evening, a small measure was extended when we got an additional 5 years to complete the Alaska Native Vietnam Veterans allotment applications so that those who served in Vietnam are not left out of their entitlement to land. So happy to work with the committee on not only the Chugach bill, but on so many of the others. I want to make just a brief comment to Senator Wyden's bill with the National Prescribed Fire Act. A lot of history that we have here, us coming from the West and understanding the devastating impact of wildfires in our areas. In your states, you have tribal interests and members. In Alaska, we have the wisdom of ages when it comes to dealing with fires, and the concept of cultural fires as as a proactive act to reduce the dangers and the hazards of wildfires. This is something that, as I am visiting with others in Arctic nations, we talk about the use of being smart with early prescribed burns just when the snow is starting to recede, the grasses are coming up, but you literally create a fire break. This is not some new science that has come about, but this is something that Native peoples have been leaning in on for centuries. So I am very supportive of the bill, Senator Wyden. There are what we feel to be significant equities for the Indian Affairs Committee, of which I chair. You have references to Indian tribes, indigenous practitioners, tribal governments, tribal trust resources, and more. Not all of these terms are defined, and when we see that, it raises some flags there. We often end up with some Alaska tribal entities, including our ANCs, being left out and ineligible. So I'd love to work with you on just making sure that we're getting definitions right. And Senator Heinrich, the point that you had made regarding Senator Barrasso's bill, again, looking forward to working with my colleagues on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the good work of the committee in getting so many of these important matters moved out today.
Thanks so much, Senator Murkowski. Thanks to everyone. Anyone else want to be recognized again, either to speak, sing, or offer poetry, anything like that?
Just one final thank you. Thanks for your staff's good work with mine on the reversionary clause on the Bryan Head bill. I think that will calm a lot of nerves.
Yeah, no, thanks for working with us on that. Yeah, we've gotten to a good place. So thanks so much to you and your team. All right, thanks to all the members for coming here today, for the staff, and having no further business before the committee, we stand adjourned.